Hey guys, another video for my 40s peeps. Today I want to talk about burnout. Burnout in our 40s. We just got to 40. We breezed through our 20s. Some of us were busy partying in the clubs because when I was younger, in all honesty, before I was saved, that's part of what I did. We were building, we were going to school, we were getting married, and then we went into our 30s. And after going into our 30s, we woke up one day and realized that, oh my goodness, we are in our 40s. And if anybody is like me, I realized a lot of things in my 40s. The very first thing I realized was I needed to drop those goals from my 20s. They needed to go because I was not 20 anymore. And when I began to realize that and reevaluate my goals, reevaluate where I was in life, that's when I also realized that I was 40. And just like wine that's mature, I was mature. And a lot of things had to change in my life. And this series I'm doing it's about connecting with those people that are going through this midlife, for me, and being able to harness the true potential of where we are so we can actually enjoy our lives. Because before we know it, we'll be in our 50s and 60s and we never got to enjoy our 40s. That's why we're here today. So today I want to talk about the silent burnout of women in their 40s after having cared for everybody, right? After having been doing the most in our 30s, our 20s and our 30s. How are we going to break this cycle? Because we find ourselves in a silent burnout. Now, I'm going to be transparent with you. What I've realized is I'm a giver, and I've in my 20s and in my 30s, I just got used to being the single mom and being the person that did everything and not having any added support, and almost to a fault, because what I realize now is my children, my youngest is over 18, and now I'm having to pull back because they're grown-ups, but I'm actually having to educate them that I'm pulling back because you're a grown-up. I don't have to micromanage you anymore. You now hold the keys to your destiny. So one of the things is breaking free from this burnout is giving people the keys to their life. If you have children and they're over the age of 18, you have to let your children own their decisions. And you'll still get those questions like, Mom, what about this? Mom, what about that? And if you're not cognizant on what you are answering, you may actually be enabling your children, because we want to raise independent thinkers. We want to raise children that can actually build a life for themselves. And so that's one of the first things I've had to do. I don't have to think for 3 children anymore. I have a grandson too. I can think for myself. And I have my son who is on the spectrum with special needs. I am his guardian, so I can think with him because I also empower him. But as far as my independent 2 daughters, they can think for themselves. And that has been a big reason why the burnout has decreased. The second thing I want to talk about is profession, right? We in our 40s have the gift of having a first career. You can decide what second career you want to do, and you can actually pursue a passion career, something you enjoy doing. And instead of going through the motions and going to work and being burnt out and upset and doing work you don't like, in our 40s, we can reinvent ourselves. We can reevaluate our career and decide to pursue a career that we're passionate about and reconfigure our career so that we don't feel burnt out. When you're doing a job you don't like, it burns you out. It really burns you out. Have you ever talked to people where you're at work and it's a Monday and they're already wishing for a Friday just because they hate the job that much? We're in our 40s. We don't have to wish for a Friday on a Monday. We're going to pivot into careers that will feed us, that we will enjoy our Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and our Friday, and then take the weekend off to recharge. Some of the signs that you're burnt out: foggy brain, right? When you go to sleep and you wake up and you don't feel like you slept. Irritability, restlessness, anxiety, feeling depressed, not being content with what you have and with your life, a high level of dissatisfaction. That is all burnout. It is all signs of being burnt out, right? And we have to be able to take an inventory of the signs that we're seeing in our lives and be able to tackle them based on what it is. So we should not forget that as we are taking back our lives and reducing burnt out, don't forget your physical body. One of the first things I did is make sure I get an annual checkup with my doctor, all my doctors. Make sure my numbers are checked, my labs are checked. If there's a test I need to go for, I go for it. I make sure I get the results. I make sure I follow up on what I'm supposed to be doing. Like an example is I follow up with my doctor and she told me I needed to add two supplements to my regimen. I made sure I bought the supplements and I make sure I take them every day. Because what good is a test and all that labor if you're not going to follow through with it? Then mental health. If you need help with your mental health, if you need to speak to a mental health professional, making sure you follow up with that, right? I am a Christian. I'm a Jesus lover. One of the things that is a pillar to me is my spiritual time. Making sure I have time in the presence of God, making sure I spend time in prayer, making sure I'm listening to music and I'm doing those things that holistically and spiritually refill my tank. Those are things we need to do. Boundaries. I just talked about when you have children and they're grown up in our 40s and we got grandkids, giving our children back their power. That's all boundaries. We have to be able to endorse healthy boundaries, and we have to also respect other people's boundaries if they put those boundaries around us. And the last things I want to talk about is some of the things that we can do in order to decrease the burnout, actual action items. I realize, I don't know about you in our 40s, I need my sleep. Sleep is like rejuvenating. It's called restorative sleep. When I'm very tired and I feel my body shutting down, at first I thought something was wrong with me. After a nap, I wake up and I feel brand new and I feel like gold. And it's science backed. Because when we get into our deep sleep, I think it's the second phase of sleep, we have what's called delta waves. These are slow brain waves. And these slow brain waves are responsible for regeneration, and that they're responsible for rebuilding. They're responsible for healing. So if you never really get that good sleep, and if you're not getting that good consistent sleep, you don't get to that place of restorative sleep. So we have to labor to get into restorative sleep, guys. It's okay to take a nap. I'm giving you permission today to take a nap. Enjoy that nap, because that nap is going to heal you, right? Making sure we drink our water, making sure we exercise, making sure we community, having friends, time with friends. That's all part of us decreasing our burnt out. We have to have social connection and human connection. And all these are ways to balance our nervous system, staying away from negativity, staying away from negative people, surrounding yourself with people that build, positive people that cheer you on. And lastly is your diet and your nutrition, right? Whatever you put into your body, that's what you're going to get out. You put junk in, you get junk out. I don't know about you. I don't want junk out of my body. So making sure we eat a good, wholesome, healthy diet so that we can have an output that is good and wholesome. I hope this video was a blessing to my 40s crew as we are living this best life. 40 is going to be something different for us. We're changing the game on 40. We're not 40 and tired. We're 40. We're amazing. We're healthy. We're beautiful. We're setting our boundaries. We are burnout free. Until next time, see you then. Bye now.